Order, and welcome everybody. Thank you everyone for coming today. It's a special council meeting of Stratford Town Council, and we're here today to consider and vote on the 24-25 budget, as well as a couple of other resolutions today. So with that, I'll just want to acknowledge the land we are on is unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq, and we pay our respects to the Mi'kmaq people, past, present, and future. So the second item is the approval of the agenda. I guess we don't have the conflict item on there, but if anyone has a conflict, please indicate with any of the resolutions we're going to be passing here today, or considering here today. Or any of the issues we're going to, or subjects we're going to be talking about today, please indicate so now. If not, we will move on to approval of the agenda. So I'll consider a motion for approval of the agenda as it is. Moved? Thank you. Second, thank you. Okay. Before we move on to oh, sorry. All in favor? Aye. Yep. Those against? Yep. Motion carried. Okay. Sorry. Resolution, we got some resolutions here, but before we get into the resolutions, I will ask the Chair of the Finance and Technology Committee, Councillor Ron Dowling, to give us some background and any information pertaining to the resolutions we'll be considering here today, the budget resolutions. I'll turn the floor over to you, Ron. Okay, yeah. Oh, the other thing is I want to mention is that two councillors are away today, but I do have a statement from one councillor, and I will read that following the statement by the Chair of the Finance and Technology Committee. Councillors who are not here today are Councillor Jeff McDonald and Councillor Gordy Cox. So with that, I'll turn the floor over to Councillor Ron Dowling.
Thank you, Your Worship. On behalf of your Stratford Town Council, it's my pleasure to bring forward some highlights for the 2024-25 Town of Stratford budget. I'll go over, Your Worship, basically it's an overview of the budget that had been presented as a draft and which we will be approving later today. After I conclude my brief remarks, I'll open the floor to any other councillors who may wish to add any input prior to us moving on to a number of resolutions that we have following. Preparing the budget has once again been a challenge, as it has become increasingly difficult to maintain the level of service and growth required for our community within the current means available to us. PEI municipalities, including ours, have been without a revenue sharing agreement with the province of PEI since March of 2022. Though negotiations continue and we remain hopeful, municipalities are also not able to project a deficit when preparing our annual operating budgets. As a result of the current needs and in preparing for our future needs and investments in our community, your council is unified in our preparedness to make the difficult decisions necessary to meet the current and future needs of our community. With this realization, it has been agreed to a planned residential 2-cent municipal tax increase for each of the next 3 years, starting with the 2024-25 budget. This increase will assist the town of Stratford in delivering the various projects and making investments that are needed for the town's continued growth and development. We recognize that residents are experiencing increases elsewhere in today's economic climate, and we too have inflationary pressures on our budgets. Through feedback in the draft budget survey, however, it was positive to note that while a mix of views on the tax increase were expressed, a majority of respondents did favor the direction of the budget and the proposed areas of expenditures and investments. We have a lot to celebrate in Stratford. As a community that is growing, one which recognizes and celebrates our increasing diversity and culture alongside an appreciation of our history, where residents appreciate our natural environment and enjoy the ever-growing active transportation connections, and where residents are willing to engage with us and participate in various opportunities to provide feedback, thoughts, and ideas. We should all be proud and hopeful of the future. We continue to listen and look out for the best interests of both our current and future residents. We are truly building the best community possible. The 2024-25 Town Stratford budget forecasts an operating surplus of just $500 for the upcoming year, once depreciation and principal payments and long-term debt are accounted for. Like all island municipalities, the town of Stratford is limited in the sources of revenue available and relies primarily on property taxes, utility charges, and fees to pay for our services and infrastructure. Our ability to maintain and particularly to expand or offer additional services, programming, and infrastructure is limited. As we continue to negotiate with the province of PEI, alongside our fellow municipalities for a stronger, more predictable, and stable funding agreement, your council recognizes that as a growing community, our needs too continue to change and grow. In order to meet the needs today as well as into the future, the 2-cent residential property tax is proposed over the next 3 years, with a commitment that any surplus will be placed into a reserve for future. Town of Stratford growth, future Town of Stratford growth investments, as well as an 8-cent increase for the apartment dwelling tax rate and a 10-cent increase to the commercial property tax rate are included in this year's budget. As with the previous council, your current council remains committed to being fiscally responsible with your tax dollars, while also balancing the needs of our community, both now and looking forward to the future. Our 2024-25 budget includes continued investment in our community through priorities important to you: active transportation, policing and fire technology, parks and recreation, tree planting and forest management planning, climate change mitigation, and more. We will continue to make decisions which are in the overall town's greater interest and invest in projects and infrastructure which will better the overall community life of our residents. We look forward to working alongside all of you to complete these projects, and as we do, reflect back to 2002, when the Council of the Day made the tough decision to construct our Stratford Town Centre building. Despite strong opposition at the time, this building has proven to be a good investment and operates at capacity on many days throughout the year. In fact, this building could be expanded and used more, which speaks to the foresight of the previous council. This also serves as a reminder to the current council that consideration of investments in Stratford must be made with not only the needs of the present in mind, but also of the future. The town's capital budget for 2024-25 is $20,622,150, which after infrastructure funding and other funding partners in the amount of $12,242,826, will have a net cost of $8,379,324. Funding for the town capital includes $11,290,326 in investing in Canada funding and $952,500 in other funding. The utility capital budget is $8,938,200, of which the town will receive infrastructure funding of $1,469,894 from the municipal strategic component funding and $2,200,638 from the Investing in Canada Fund, for a net capital of $4,867,668. The past year was the first of many exciting ones to come for our community on this project, the community campus. The tender for site servicing was issued, with the first phase of work well underway on this multi-phase, multi-year project. Later in 2024, the road is anticipated to be made public. Expanded business park lots are expected to be sold and potentially developed, and the construction of the high school by the province of PEI will continue. Along with this, a solar project which will assist the future community and wellness center being constructed to net zero. The full build-out of the community campus project will require support from all levels of government and the community. Council and staff are working hard to ensure that all the necessary partnerships are in place and ready to help Stratford realize this community-changing initiative. The town continues to have many positive conversations with a variety of organizations expressing interest in becoming partners with the town of Stratford on this site. We will continue to work with these groups where possible for the development of recreational and cultural infrastructure on the community campus. This property will become a focal point of our community in the future. In time, the community campus will provide Stratford residents with a recreational, cultural, and social hub that will provide physical, social, and mental health benefits. Council and staff look forward to hosting an open house with residents in the future to further showcase the community campus plans. The Pondside Watershed Restoration Project continued this past year, and in 2024 we'll see dredging at Kelly's Pond and the replacement of culvert crossing Keppoch Road completed in tandem by the province of PEI. Town staff, council, and residents are excited to see this project moving closer to completion. The first phase of the new waterfront park began in 2023 with the installation of boardwalk and lookouts to allow residents and visitors better access to this space, that being the Michael Thomas Park. This work is anticipated to be completed in late spring, and we hope to welcome the community to the space by the summer of 2024. With the connection to Charlottetown from the boardwalk across the active transportation lane on Hillsborough Bridge, and with plans on the Charlottetown side for a new park, this will bring opportunity for further development of the commercial lands around the waterfront park, as well as for additional phases of development in the park in accordance with our master plan. Well, one exciting project wraps up officially, another is just getting underway, and both are helping to see the town of Stratford continue to have important conversations and lead change in our community. Shape Stratford is an 18-month funded project through Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation's Housing Supply Challenge, with a goal of finding solutions around barriers to new housing supply through conversations and education. By working together and having conversations in our community, we work towards identifying and closing gaps to achieve suitable housing for all. This project has led to the newly announced Housing Accelerator funding the town was recently awarded, which is also a CMHC project. This funding will support projects and initiatives which will lead to more housing units in the town of Stratford, including an official plan and bylaw review. Shape Stratford has identified that there is a systemic challenge built into the existing process in building public and council support for projects that increase density due to the values associated with traditional patterns of low-density development. But Housing Accelerator funding recognizes that changes are needed and can be planned for, leading to both successful projects and community growth. The Shape Stratford Community Conversation is being held on Tuesday, April 2nd at 6:30 p.m. at Stratford Emergency Services Center. And we invite the community to join us for a presentation at 6:30, followed by an opportunity to continue to have your input. Other budget highlights include expansion of the transit system, an additional RCMP officer, the opening of a new mini ball field at Fullerton's Creek Conservation Park, solar panel installation at Stratford Emergency Services Center and town maintenance buildings, which are subject to funding, implementation of additional supports identified in the first annual business survey and other consultations, hiring of a human resource position and implementation of other recommendations from the organizational review, increase to the Stratford Youth Center operational budget, a new town website, an expansion of the paved parking lot at Fullerton's Creek Conservation Park, which is subject to funding. The Stratford utility operates on a cash recovery basis, and as such, the town continually analyzes expenses to ensure that the rates for customers are equitable among our customers, while being sufficient to meet our long-term needs. With rising inflationary expenses increases over the past year, a modest increase to the water and sewer rates is required, amounting to a 5% increase to base consumption rates effective April 1st, 2024. This increase will mean an average increase of just under $40 for the coming year, or approximately $10 per quarterly billing cycle. Stratford utility customers continue to demonstrate their support by limiting their personal use of water where possible and supporting conservation methods and programs. The upcoming year will see projects by the Stratford utility, including completion of the additional water reservoir tower, completion of upgrades to Bunbury and Corish sewer lift stations, investigative video surveying of sections of the town sewer system, installation of standby generators at a few of the larger sewer lift stations, addition of fire hydrants in the core area, and continued implementation of the inflow and infiltration program. In closing, on behalf of all members of council, I would first like to thank our town staff for their ongoing efforts. I can assure you they are working hard for you every day and are mindful of the budgets set forth and any expenses incurred. I'd also like to thank my fellow council members for your respectful and thoughtful input into the budget and shared vision and passion for our community. I would also like to thank our great residents of Stratford. We appreciate hearing from you, whether through the draft budget process as we've just come through, or at other opportunities you come out and get involved with. You're passionate and dedicated, you give of your time, and you put your trust in us to make the best decisions on your behalf. You help make our community better every day. As we continue to be a growing community, our needs also continue to change and grow. This budget considers the needs we have today, while also looking ahead to the future. Like you, we are excited about the future opportunities ahead for our community, both those you can easily see, such as the community campus development, the new high school, or expanding commercial businesses, and those which you cannot see as easily, things like additional RCMP and fire coverage, or investments in our sewer and water infrastructure. We will continue to work hard for our community to make the investments needed, to save and cut when and where we can, and to remain open and transparent in our decisions. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor. That was a very, very inspiring statement. I think we really can look forward to the future with optimism and really look for some great things in the future for our town. So I want to thank everyone who worked so hard on this budget, to the staff and all the councillors, especially you, Councillor Jackson. I know you provided a lot of time and effort into this budget, so thank you. Our Director of Finance, Kim O'Connell, worked hard, and her staff, so yes. And all members of staff worked hard in their respective areas, and our CAO, Jeremy Crosby, who also worked really hard. Deputy CAO Jeremy Pierce worked very hard, and Director of Planning, Director of Infrastructure, all our planners, everyone worked hard on this and come up with the best possible budget. So I appreciate all the efforts of everyone, and really want to thank them for putting that effort forward. I think it'll be time well invested in the long run. So I'll open the floor to any statements or comments by councillors before I have one statement from one councillor to read, but if anyone would like to say anything at this point, the floor is yours.
I think I will, Your Worship, sorry. I don't know if I can read my own writing here. I do want to thank staff and thank our Chair of Finance for their diligence and you know, the big decisions we had to make in this budget, and for our mayor and fellow councillors for really taking this you know, challenging situation, seeing it as an opportunity for us for the future. It's great to see that we have this shared commitment to maintain essential services, invest in critical infrastructure, and addressing our community needs, like the Chair of Finance said, not only today but in the future. You know, the investments in active transportation, we all see these, you know, where we've kind of gotten away from the old sidewalk idea and went with these multi-use paths that are connecting the town. And I know I hear from folks on a daily or weekly basis what a difference that's made. Policing, as Chair of Safety Services, it's great to see a commitment from council and from staff on another member. We are very fortunate with the members we do have right now, and having one more to that list will even further enhance just the overall safety of the community, and just the ability that the police officers, the RCMP officers we have now to connect with our residents, our youth, especially when we get a high school and junior high, is going to pay dividends. The investments in the rec infrastructure across the town, but especially in the campus, that's going to be a massive deal for us. And a big thing, enhancing our staff resources. I know we talk about an HR manager. We're growing, the town's growing, and we can't be blind to the fact that we do need more staff. It does come at a cost, but in order to provide the services we do need, and to even look after our internal staff, not only our external clients, but our internal clients, we need to do that. And I'm proud that we had the decision to actually do that. The one thing, and I know the Chair of Finance did say, like, when we have invested in ourselves in this town and our shared plan, we have been successful. You look at the town hall that you referenced, emergency services building, transit, the business park, which is busting at the seams that we need to actually expand. Again, the actor transportation, like, these are fantastic things, and the vision that past councils, a lot of the staff that have been here for a long time have had. And to continue that, I think, is a big thing for us. Given the challenging financial situation, but we still have to continue to invest. I think the community campus and the wellness center, the high school, the junior high are going to be the same. Like I said, where we've invested, we have shown that it's been well worth it. This place is full, as evidenced by there's always something going on here. And we are bursting at the seams here too. But these investments, I just took a drive through the campus road the other day, and you can really start to see things coming together. And for us to continue to push, and we've committed to the town folk and to our partners that we're going to see this through. And by bringing on an increase is going to help us do that. Obviously, we didn't want to do that if we could help it, but when you take a drive through there and you get to see what's going on, and hear about the police officers and the enhancements to staff, you understand why we need to do this, and I'm proud of us for actually doing that. It's a strong signal to our provincial and federal counterparts that we're serious about this plan that we have. And as I was saying before, we've stuck to the plan for a lot of the time that I've been here my whole life, but we've gotten where we've gotten to by sticking to a plan and not deviating, not taking the easy way out. So I think this is a good signal for our provincial and federal counterparts that we are serious. We're doing our part in this. They've already shown their commitment to us with the high school and the suggestion of a junior high. So I know they share that vision. We just need to see that come through in a financial plan for us. And the other thing, it's not fun to raise tax, but it's great to hear in conversations with residents that they do appreciate that we have a vision and that we're united in that. And we've talked for this council and the last council and the one I was on before it about the idea of this campus and the continued growth of the town, and we're sticking to that. And I think it's great to hear from residents that they're pleased with that. We could have taken an easier route and maybe kick some things down the road. We're not doing that. So I want to thank residents too for sharing their thoughts on this and buying into our shared vision that we do have. And I guess lastly, and I said this already, our council colleagues for the unity and our commitment to our future. And we know we've made good decisions here in the past. This is another good one. And I look forward to seeing where this budget positions us for the future. Thanks.
Thank you. I'd just like to comment, I'd like to commend you, Councillor Jackson, for your efforts in getting increased funding for the fire company. I don't think a lot of residents realize the increase in cost. It's gone from, I believe, around just over $200 to well over $800 per property in terms of what we have to pay for within our tax structure. And also for the policing costs with the new collective agreement, that cost has escalated quite substantially, as well as the retroactive amount that we had to pay. It's quite, and adding another police officer because of a growing population, there's a need for that, so we can provide the best policing services possible. You know, and the fire company, Councillor Jackson, you argued successfully for the increased funding so that they're able to buy a fire truck when it's needed. Fire trucks, I believe, are close to $1 million now. It's a very, very big cost. Their fire equipment has to be replaced every 10 years. Otherwise, it doesn't meet specifications and code. So those costs are very substantial, and they've gone up a lot. And I think the increased funding for the fire company will provide, you know, a good solid basis for them. And so anyway, and the transit, you know, it's going well, and we're looking at, we've just completed a study, and we'll be implementing, you know, some of the recommendations with our partners on that. So all those things are very positive, and anyway, I just want to commend you and thank you for your efforts with regard to this budget. So thanks. Anyone else? If you want to.
Sure. I'll echo Councillor Jackson's thoughtful words. I'd like to thank Councillor Dowling. I thought you've been a great spokesperson and leader and advocate, and I appreciated your leadership through this process. All the staff, you have been fantastic and patient. I think as a group, we've spent a lot of time discussing items line by line, seeking further information, and we really are moving forward with residents' best interests at heart. And we've tried really hard to, you know, this budget had a lot of consideration. In regards to the community campus, I think this is a place that will bring such pride and connectivity to our residents, and I'm excited to be a part of it. I think when we look at studies, and even during COVID, we see the impacts of isolation and a lack of connectivity and how that affects people. And I'm looking forward to being a part of something that brings people together, multi-generational usage with a multitude of interests that doesn't specifically cater to any one sport or interest. And I think that we've been really careful and mindful in our considerations in advance of this. So thank you to everybody for your leadership and your patience.
And I'd like to thank you as well, Councillor Chandler. I think you've been very successful in moving the recreation and the arts and culture files forward and getting that is where the face of our community, the parks and the events and the spaces where people go to meet other people, you know, socially interact with others, and it's really an important file, and you've really done a lot in that area, and I really appreciate everything you've done, and I look forward to more in the future, especially with the new wellness center. If we can move ahead with that under your leadership, I think it's going to be a real successful asset for our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And it sounds, so I remember being a kid growing up on Glen Cove Drive. We had community bonfires, we had corn boils, everyone knew their neighbors, and there were so many opportunities for connection. And I know our town is growing and continues to grow, but those points of connection and that people do meet and know their neighbors and feel a part of something, and that our identity and culture is clear, and that people take pride in it is of ultimate importance for overall mental and physical well-being.
Thank you.
As Deputy Mayor, as Chair of Infrastructure and Co-Chair of Safety Services, echo everybody's thoughts and so on, and all the work staff. As we always say, we have great staff, and it's a big decision here, raising taxes, but as the Minister or Ron Dowling said, you can kick the can down the road so far, right? Kick it. So it's just you see the town growing. I come over here 30 years ago, and the pride in Stratford and with the growth, we're coming up behind Summerside right now. We're overpowering Cornwall, and our growth is fantastic with everything coming, the wellness center, and with us purchasing land there 4 or 5 years ago, 150 acres land. We knew that We had to get that for high school and junior high school, which is a great support for the provincial government. And of course, now the Greys coming on board after this, and then, of course, with the provincial government, the roundabout, the waterfront development, and it's just everything's starting to come together and starting to move, and each year, and of course, we have the heavy infrastructure is very important. You have police and fire, very important, and you got to spend money on those. So we're trying to be very careful with the financially, with the residents' dollars and so on. But this is we're growing, and you just got to go with growth. And as Councillor Jackson said, talked about, hopefully the federal government sees it, and hopefully the provincial government sees it, and we still appreciate their help and so on. But we're putting our hands in our own pockets here, and trying to keep it going, right? So we're moving forward that way. But and then with council too, with the unity of all 6 councillors, including yourself, Worship, it's very. I have a lot of pride, and it's sort of the team approach. It's everybody's together. It's all about Stratford. It's all going forward, and there's no special ward and so on. There's no special advantage for anybody, but it's very. I sit back all the time and acknowledge it's great to work with all the people around the table, including staff. So there's a lot of pride in this room, and I can feel every time when something positive happens. And I know when we start building the wellness center and so on, it's just going to grow. So, but I want to thank everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Deputy Mayor, for everything you've done, and for the Director of Infrastructure, Jeannie Woodard.
Yes, yeah.
She's worked hard, and you've worked hard to bring some of the achievements that we've gotten, the multi-use path along the Kepik Road, the waterfront park, all the infrastructure that's been put into the community campus, the roads, electricity, and sewer and water. All that's in place now. We're ready for the next move, and it's really heartening to see as well. I think it needs to be noted your accomplishments in getting EWatch, working with Councillor Jackson and Safety Services, Vice Chair and Chair of Safety Services, to get EWatch. I think that's moved the safety of all residents forward by a great margin. So thank you for everything. Thank you, Jeannie.
Thank you, Jeannie.
Okay, I have a statement here to read on behalf of Councillor Jeff McDonald, who's unable to be here today. I'll just read it right now, if that's okay. Mr. Chair, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, I offer my sincere regrets at not being able to join you for this important occasion. Unfortunately, our budget finalization process landed exactly in the middle of our education system's March break. Please forgive my absence. In place of my presence and vote, I am writing to you to express my support for the Town of Stratford's 2024-2025 budget as presented and tabled. As always, our council and staff have had to make difficult decisions. The needs of our community are numerous and resources are scarce. We have deferred expenditures where we could and have encouraged staff to find efficiencies in the use of town resources. Through extensive consultations, we have identified priorities and potentials for savings. This budget represents our vision and our commitment to deliver the services that our growing municipality expects. We understand the responsibility that has been entrusted to us by the citizens of this municipality. We will never do anything to betray that trust. Many opportunities for growth in population and services are present in the town, but many challenges lie ahead for the town to realize its full potential. We see the challenges before us, and we're prepared to meet them head on. That's from Councillor Jeff McDonald. Councillor Gordy Cox also expressed to me that he supports the budget, and I want to thank both Councillor Cox and Councillor McDonald. Although they're not here today, they both worked hard in their respective areas. I know Councillor Cox in the area of sustainability has really moved the file on that. A lot of major initiatives, the tree planting, the energy plan. There's quite a number of accomplishments in that area. We're moving as fast as possible and as much as possible towards having a minimal effect on our environment, or impact on our environment. Councillor McDonald in the planning area, I know there's a number of major developments, a number of major issues that have come up and been dealt with successfully, and so I want to thank him for that as well. So with that, those statements, I'll turn the floor back over to Councillor Dowling for his, to move forward with the resolutions.
Thank you, Your Worship. I do have several resolutions. First being the Town of Stratford Resolution FT 001-2024, Fees Bylaw Number 39, Revised Schedule A, stemming from the Finance and Technology Committee, moved by myself, whereas Council established a Fees Bylaw Number 39 to set fees for licenses, permits, programs, facility rentals, and other matters, and whereas Schedule A of the bylaw contains the fee amounts that can be amended by simple resolution, and whereas the town, as part of the budget process, reviews Schedule A on an annual basis, and where it is desirable to amend the fee schedule, be it resolved that the attached revised Schedule A to the Fees Bylaw Number 39, dated March 28, 2024, be hereby approved.
Okay, do I have a seconder?
No, just one.
Oh, sorry.
Not quite done, Your Worship. There's a big chart in between, so,
Oh, sorry, yeah.
yeah, but people can, are
Got
familiar
ahead
with
of
that.
myself.
Be it resolved that the attached revised Schedule A to the Fees Bylaw Number 39, date March 28, 2024, be hereby approved. This resolution bears a recommendation of the Finance Committee from a meeting held on March 20th, 2024, and the Committee of the Whole from a meeting held on February 28, 2024.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Chandler, thank you. Okay, any discussion? I'd just like to say that I understand that, you know, everything, our costs have escalated in a number of areas, you know, and these new fees, although they're not completely user pay, it does go some way towards the cost of delivering these services. So that's the rationale and the reason for the increases. As well, we've tried as much as possible, I believe, Councillor, to be in line with these same types of fees in other sister municipalities. Yeah.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah. Okay, anyone else have any comments or questions? If not, we'll proceed to the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those against? Motion carried. Okay, you have another resolution.
Yes, Your Worship, the Town of Stratford Resolution FT 002-204, adoption of a 2024-25 operating budget. There's an error on my
Yeah.
one here, Your Worship. Just make note that it should read 2024/25.
Yeah.
Stemming from the Finance and Technology Committee, moved by myself, be it resolved that the 2024-25 Town of Stratford operating budget with revenue of $10,277,900, expenses of $9,777,200, and an allocation to a reserve fund for future growth of $450,200 for an operating surplus of $500. Be hereby approved in accordance with the following revenue and expenses tables, and they are included in the package, Your Worship. Be it further resolved that the non-commercial municipal tax rate be set at 47 cents per $100 of assessment for 2024. The non-commercial, non-resident municipal tax rate be set at 94 cents per $100 of assessment for 2024. The non-commercial apartment municipal tax rate be set at 74 cents per $100 of assessment for 2024. The non-commercial, non-resident apartment municipal tax rate be set at $1.48 per $100 of assessment for 2024. The non-commercial motel municipal tax rate be set at 74 cents per $100 of assessment for 2024. The non-commercial, non-resident motel municipal tax rate be set at $1.48 per $100 of assessment for 2024. The commercial municipal tax rate be set at $1.35 per $100 of assessment for 2024. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Finance Committee from a meeting held on March 20th, 2024, and the Committee of the Whole from a meeting held on February 28, 2024.
Okay, do you have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Jackson. Just before I ask for comments, I'm just wondering about the should it be 2024/25, or is that correct? You'll make the change? Okay. So is that understood, everyone, that it's for not just the year 2024, it's for 2024/25? Okay, so with that, anyone have any comments or questions? I just want to say that I was really reluctant to look at raising taxes, but I think in this case, it is really necessary, and we really need this money. Residents will get something for this tax increase. We'll get improved programs and services and facilities that residents want and need and deserve, because when you look at other municipalities of a comparable size, we have a great infrastructure gap, both social infrastructure and hard infrastructure, like, you know, the whole town needs to be connected to sewer and water. We need to have a wellness facility for recreational purposes and for social gathering and for cultural space. We need a lot of things in our town, and with our current tax structure, we're not able to deliver that, so that's the reason for the proposed tax increase. So are there any other comments or questions before I call the question?
I could say taxes, like I said, we're almost come up behind Summerside. We're Summerside, Charlottetown are ahead of us as far as taxes, so us raising the taxes, it's just like we said, are talking about our growth, so it's like you say, infrastructure, everything's, costs are rising and so on, so, but this is the position that we're in right now.
Yeah, and if we could ever get a fair and equitable agreement with the provincial government in terms of division of property taxes, where we could get a better, more revenue, this wouldn't be necessary, but unfortunately, we haven't had a new, what is it, going 3 years now, we haven't had an increase in our revenue sharing agreement. So that's really, I know it's being negotiated, and we look forward to, with optimism, to progress in that area, but as of right now, there is no increased amount from our provincial municipal taxes, so we're in the position of having to increase taxes. So with that, I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Did you have a seconder?
Oh, sorry, no, go ahead.
Did we have a seconder?
Oh, we have a seconder. Councillor Jackson, seconder.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other comments or questions? I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried.
Thank you, Worship. The next is the Town of Stratford Resolution FT 003-2024, adoption of 2024-25 capital budget and 4-year capital plan. Stemming from the Finance and Technology Committee, moved by myself, whereas as part of the new Municipal Government Act, the Town of Stratford is required to submit a 5-year capital expenditure plan that includes an asset management program. Be it resolved that the 2024-25 capital budget per the following schedules be approved in the amount of $20,622,150, less investing in Canada funding of $11,290,326, other funding of $952,500, for a net town capital budget of $8,379,324. Be it further resolved that the attached 4-year capital plan covering the years 2025-26 to 2028-29 for the following schedules be approved. This resolution bears a recommendation of the Finance Committee from a meeting held on March 20th, 2024, and the Committee of the Whole from a meeting held on February 28, 2024.
Do you have a seconder?
A second.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor. Okay. Any comments or questions? I think it's really important to, and this is a part of the budget where we get something for our investment, and hopefully we get their partners, the federal and provincial governments, to step up with you know, a share of some of the infrastructure needs that we have, specifically for the wellness center. We really need the same deal as other municipalities have received for similar assets. We're really looking forward to having that discussion and really having the same consideration given to Stratford as has been advanced to other communities with regard to funding our major infrastructure needs. Any other comments? Yep.
Yeah, just to reinforce that comment, Your Worship, but looking just at the numbers of when we talk about investments in infrastructure and especially recreational infrastructure, you look at other municipalities, Three Rivers around 7,500 folks or 7,800, Cornwall 6,500, Tignish, O'Leary, and Kensington all well under what we are, and they've all received significant funding assistance on recreational infrastructure. So I just want to put that on the record that we, again, as you said, we would like a similar funding kind of deal for us with the other levels of government, and we think that would be fair. And you know, not many other, you know, we don't have a high school yet, and Three Rivers Montague has had a high school and a wellness center and all those things, and I know it has to do with proximity, but I think it's a valid point for us to raise that we are growing. We do need the infrastructure that others have, and we have a lot of catching up to do. So looking forward to a significant investment from other levels of government.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? If not, call the question. All those in favor? Anyone against? Motion carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. Next is the Town of Stratford Resolution Number FT 004-2024, adoption of the 2024-25 utility operating budget stemming from the Finance and Technology Committee, moved by myself. Be it resolved that the attached 2024-25 Stratford Utility Corporation operating budget with revenues of $3,716,000 and expenses of $3,715,600 for a surplus of $400 be approved as follows, and that's in accordance with the attached charts. This resolution bears a recommendation of the Finance Committee from a meeting held on March 20th, 2024, and the Committee of the Whole from a meeting held on February 28, 2024.
Thank you. Councillor Jackson seconded. Okay, this is a modest increase, but it is an increase, and partly driven by some of the costs of our processing of our wastewater, and it is, and I think it should be recognized that is, you know, quite an increased cost, and it is something that's very substantial, and so that's part of the driver. Also, the fact that the costs are going up as it is in all of our other areas. All of our fixed costs are things that we have no control over are increasing. So salaries, wages, inflation in general is driving this increase. Any other comments or questions before we vote?
Yeah, quickly, Your Worship, I have mentioned before, and I know other councillors have as well. We're very fortunate in Stratford in that our committee structure is designed such that the majority of the committee is actually residents of Stratford or comprised of residents. So not only in the Finance and Technology Committee, but all committees, those residents who, like ourselves, are ratepayers, have the opportunity for significant constructive input in relation to budgets and projects and other development initiatives. So we're very fortunate and I think a little bit unique in that way, and you know, I couldn't imagine it being any other way. So we're fortunate that again the Finance Committee, for example, and Technology Committee, like other councillors have expressed, are in agreement with the direction that we're taking in the city insofar as significant developments go. So I just want to remind people that that's how that structure is comprised.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions before we vote? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried.
Thank you, Your Worship. Next is the Town of Stratford Resolution Number FT 006-204, approval of the 2024 utility tariff. Stemming from the Finance and Technology Committee, moved by myself. Whereas a comprehensive review of water and sewer expenses, as well as a projected 5-year capital plan, was completed in 2020. And whereas these projections were analyzed through utility rate models to determine the rates for water and sewer ratepayers, and whereas expenses have increased substantially due to the high cost of inflation, there will be an increase to utility rates for the current year, and be it resolved that the attached Stratford utility tariff for 2024, which incorporates the following, be hereby approved. The unmetered water rate for a single-family dwelling will increase to $92.61 per quarter as of April 2024. The unmetered sewer rate for a single-family dwelling will increase to $138.67 per quarter as of April 2024. The water base rate for a 5/8 meter customer will increase to $41.08 per quarter as of April 2024. The sewer base rate for a 5/8 meter customer will increase to $61.49 per quarter as of April 2024. The consumption charge for metered water will increase to 1.0164 per cubic meter as of April 2024. And the consumption charge for metered sewer will increase to 1.5257 per cubic meter as of April 2024, and that's $1.5257 in the latter and $1.0164 in the former. This resolution bears a recommendation of the Finance Committee from a meeting held on March 20th, 2024, and the Committee of the Whole from a meeting held on February 28th, 2024.
So just before I ask for the seconder, the charge for metered sewer will increase to 1.5257, is that correct?
Yeah, $1.5257 per cubic meter.
Okay, thank you.
And metered water, I left out the dollar amount, to $1.0164 per cubic meter.
Yep, okay. Do I have a seconder? Thank you. Councillor Chandler, thank you. Okay, comments or questions? Okay, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Okay, Councillor Jackson, or Councillor Dowling, I think there might be one, the resolution just before the one you presented. You might have skipped over that one, Resolution FT 005-24. So maybe we could go to that one next.
Which one we got now, sir? Seven.
Yeah, resolution number 7, yeah.
Okay.
It's FT 005, yeah.
Okay.
Do you need my computer?
No, I don't know how I missed that.
That's okay.
Your Worship, the Town of Stratford Resolution Number FT 005-2024, adoption of the 2024-25 Utility Capital Budget, stemming from the Finance and Technology Committee, moved by myself. Whereas as part of the new Municipal Government Act, the Town of Stratford is required to submit a 5-year capital expenditure plan that includes an asset management program. And be it resolved that the following tables for the 2024-25 utility capital budget be approved in the amount of $8,938,200, less investing in Canada funding of $2,200,638, municipal strategic component funding of $1,469,894, and other funding of $400,000 for a net capital expenditure of $4,867,668. Be it further resolved that the following table for the 4-year capital plan be approved, covering the years 24 2025-26 to 2028-29, and those tables are included, Your Worship. This resolution bears a recommendation of the Finance Committee from a meeting held on March 20, 2024, and the Committee of the Whole from a meeting held on February 28, 2024.
Okay, thank you. Seconder? Thank you, Councillor Jackson, thank you. Question? No? Any comments or questions? If not, move to the question. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone against? Motion carried. Thank you very much, Councillor Dowling. A lot of hard work there and a lot of great work, so thanks very much. We'll now move to Resolution PH 004-2024, maximum lot coverage increases to 40%. There's a conflict there. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, thank you. For maximum lot coverage increases to 40% for 7 lots in Phase 1 of the Redden Meadows subdivision. And I will call upon Councillor, who wants it? Do you want it? You do it? Okay, Councillor Jackson, thank you.
Thank you, Worship. Town of Stratford Resolution PH 004-2024, maximum lot coverage increases to 40% for 7 lots in Phase 1 of the Redden Meadows subdivision. It comes from the Planning and Heritage Committee. So whereas at a regular council meeting held on August 9, 2023, preliminary approval was granted to an application from Landfest Company Limited to subdivide parcel numbers 1061175, 1061167, and 329011, approximately 14.01 acres in total, in accordance with the submitted development scheme prepared by Fathom Studios in association with Sable Arc, dated July 2021. The development scheme references 84 total units, with 2 6-unit townhouses, 7 5-unit townhouses, 2 4-unit townhouses, 2 3-unit townhouses, and 23 single dwelling units. And whereas a request from Hanson Property Group, the new landowner, has been received to increase the maximum lot coverage ratio for 7 of the 11 single-unit dwelling lots in Phase 1 in the new Redden Heights cul-de-sac from 30% to 40%. And whereas in accordance with Section 11.2.6D of the Town of Stratford Zoning and Development Bylaw, 5, maximum lot coverage shall be 30%, provided, however, that council may permit a coverage of up to 40% where it deems there would not be an adverse impact on adjoining properties, subject to the terms and conditions as may be established by council. And whereas planning staff has examined the lot grading plans and proposed buildings in conjunction with the stormwater management plan and cannot determine there will not be adverse impacts of adjoining properties due to the increased lot coverage ratios. Therefore, planning staff is recommending that the civil engineer who designed the Redden Meadows stormwater management plan submit correspondence to the town ensuring that the increased lot coverage ratios will not adversely impact adjoining properties. Whereas through an email poll, the Planning and Heritage Committee has reviewed the application and felt that by increasing the permitted maximum lot coverage to 40% will not cause any adverse impacts on the neighborhood. And be it resolved, the maximum lot coverage for lots 28, 29, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, as shown on the subdivision plan for Phase 1 of the Redden Meadows subdivision, be increased from 30 to 40%, provided that A, all of the buildings are located outside of drainage easements and within the development standards established by approved development scheme and Town of Stratford zoning and development bylaw, and correspondence be submitted to the town from the civil engineer who designed the Redden Meadows stormwater management plan, confirming the increased lot coverage ratio will not adversely impact adjoining properties. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Planning, Development, and Heritage Committee obtained by an email poll conducted between March 22nd and March 27th, 2024. So moved.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Thank you. Okay, comments, questions?
One question I have is in regards, I don't quite know the critical path in this sort of stuff. So in regards to the correspondence being submitted or being asked to be submitted to the town from the civil engineer, what's the timeline on that sort of correspondence?
Or last Dale.
I will speak to the agent for the developer and hope to get that done as soon as possible so we can move forward on that. So I'm anticipating sometime mid to late next week, hopefully, and I will certainly push forward the need for it as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And so Dale, sorry, Your Worship, what were you going to say? Just with that, so we are approving, provided we get that written notification from the
Conditional, yeah.
conditional, yeah, that, yeah, we wouldn't come back to council provided you get the proper documentation?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And I neglected, when I was speaking about the contributions of Councillor McDonald to the planning file, I neglected to mention the contributions, the great contributions that Director of Planning Dale McKagan has brought to the table, and all the work that he's done over the past year, and really all the work that's reflected in the budget, and really it's been a great it's a great story, a good news story all around in terms of planning. So I think the good analysis, the great recommendations, the leadership is really between Councillor McDonald and Director Dale McKagan. I think it's first rate, and I really want to commend them for that. Okay, any other comments or questions about the resolution?
Yes, sir, just briefly. You know, this is an increase in the coverage, which, because it's maybe closer to the 40%, is required, requires approval by council. Fundamentally, what I understand is that's to allow for development of the garage in each of the buildings, otherwise the buildings aren't fundamentally changing. And as Councillor Jackson had mentioned, it is conditional upon receipt of confirmation that it won't impact the flow of water from the properties. And I understand as well that the grading of the properties, as they now stand, won't change. So just point that out. Roll call. Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, any other comments or questions? If not, I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion carried. Okay. Next resolution is also yours, Councillor Jackson. Okay, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Worship. So this resolution, Town of Stratford Resolution SS 003-2024, appointment of directors to the Crossroads Rural Community Fire Company. So coming from the Safety Services Committee, moved by myself. Whereas the Town of Stratford has a right and responsibility to appoint 7 members to the Board of Directors of the Crossroads Rural Community Fire Company. And whereas the board is currently in need of 2 members to bring the total number of members to 7. And whereas residents Bernadette Milner and Rick Richard have agreed to put their names forward to serve on the board, be it resolved that the following residents be appointed to serve on the Board of Directors of the Crossroads Rural Community Fire Company. Community representatives Bernadette Milner, first year of a 3-year term, and Rick Richard, first year of a 3-year term. This resolution bears the recommendation of the Safety Services Committee based on a meeting held on March 18, 2024, and a committee of the whole meeting held on March 27, 2024. So moved.
Thank you, Councillor. Seconder? I'll second. Thank you. Deputy Mayor? Okay. Any comments or questions?
No, two great candidates were on committees before, and I'm proud to have them back.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
My only comment, Your Worship, is we're very fortunate in Stratford to have such dedication among our residents when it comes to volunteering and stepping up to participate in different initiatives for the betterment of all residents in the community. So I feel very blessed as a resident to have people such as this that are willing to give up their time.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Councillor Dowling for that, and I just want to let everyone know there were a number of folks who did apply, and just based on the skill sets that we were looking for at this time, to bring us back to full complement, we were fortunate to have many choices, and I thank you for the kind words on these two. Yeah, thank you.
And just another note too is that these people work very hard. There's a budget to be managed. There's a lot of issues that come up to the board, and everything to do with fire protection in our town goes to this board, and they do a great job. And I just want to thank them for putting their names forward to be appointed to serve for the town basically as a volunteer to help us better provide fire protection for our town.
Yeah, and if I may, Your Worship, just want to thank the members that have vacated those positions. So one was former Mayor Kevin Jenkins, who completed his term. I want to thank him for his service to the board, and to Dave Milligan, who is taking another position within the fire company. But thank him for his many, many years of service on the board as well. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, thank you.
Big decisions made with the first responders, fire department, especially the more duties they have now. You know, with the they're almost a paramedic, or they're jumping in assistant paramedics or so, answering, you know, collisions and so on. And if you can't get a hold of paramedic, the fire, you know, so it's great to have a strong board and great big decisions there, and especially when their town is growing, right? You know, our population's growing and so on.
Yep, thank you. Okay, we got a moved and seconded motion. Any other comments or questions? If not, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone against? Motion carried. Okay, we have another resolution concerning the Housing Accelerator Fund. I'll ask, if you don't mind, Councillor Chandler, would you move that resolution?
Infrastructure.
Ooh, sorry.
Everything okay? Okay. Town of Stratford Resolution CW 002-2024 Housing Accelerator Fund. And then I just begin reading. This was brought forward by the Committee of the Whole. Whereas the town of Stratford is committed to addressing the housing crisis and ensuring that its residents have access to safe and attainable housing options, and whereas the Housing Accelerator Fund, established by the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, CMHC, is a funding initiative designed to provide financial support and resources to municipalities in developing attainable housing projects, and whereas the Town Council recognizes the significance and potential impact of the Housing Accelerator Fund in meeting the housing needs of our community, and whereas the Town Council believes that collaborating with the CMHC through the Housing Accelerator Fund will enhance our ability to develop and implement sustainable housing projects, and whereas the Housing Accelerator Fund application process requires a municipal resolution expressing support and a commitment to collaboration from the local government. Be it resolved that Council approves the proposal to enter into the Housing Accelerator Fund contribution agreement with the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. Be it further resolved that the Mayor and Chief Administrative Officer are hereby authorized to execute standard contracts and agreements to implement this resolution. Of note, this resolution bears the recommendation of the Committee of the Whole based on a meeting held on February 28th, 2024.
Thank you. You're moving that resolution?
I am. Sorry, did I
Thank you.
misunderstand?
No, that's good. No, that's great. You moved it. That's great. Do you have a seconder? Deputy Mayor Gallant, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a moved and seconded motion. Any comments or questions? Discussion?
I just think this is great. It's fantastic for the town of Stratford. I want to thank the federal government, led by Lawrence McCauley, representing our interests here. It's just going to, I think it's going to create 180 new, is it 180,
Yeah.
Jody? 100 new homes.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's all great news and nothing negative about it. It's just great. It's just the economy that we're in right now, and it's just going to help us with given this $4.5 million will help us facilitate this program.
Yeah, I think that's a good point.
Yeah.
We are very thankful to the federal government for providing this funding to help us put more housing in place, and it will really facilitate getting more housing faster and more in needed areas. So thank you very much for that. Any other comments or questions?
Just quickly, Your Worship, I also express my appreciation to the government for this funding. We're going to certainly be well utilized within the town of Stratford. And also want to express my appreciation to the CAO and the senior management team for their determination in their application and revisions of applications to ensure that we were considered by the federal government for this funding. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I think a lot of the success of the application also was, as Councillor Dowling mentioned, due to the expertise and experience and good work by the CAO and Director of Planning and all the planners and everyone on the council. Everyone considered worked hard on this. It is something that also the Shape Stratford initiative, which started over, what, 3 years ago, I guess. It provided a lot of analysis and provided a needs assessment for housing in our community, which was really instrumental, I think, or one of the key building blocks for, or foundations for this application, which was successful. So thanks for all the work on that. Go ahead.
I agree with all your comments, and everybody did contribute, but one person in particular, Scott Carnell, was the driving force behind this. Did a lot of exhaustive work on this, so I'd like to thank him for that.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
Yeah, if it's not too late, Your Worship, Phil Robert's in the room too, and just on some of the other matters that have been before us today and the last number of months, I want to thank Phil too, and Scott and the entire team for all of the advice and expertise. We aren't experts in any of these things, so we take their advice and appreciate all they do offer us.
Yeah, there's a wealth of expertise and experience in the planning area. We're really thankful to have that.
People just got to understand, you just don't pick up the phone and ask the federal government for money. You got to go through an application. There's a lot of hard work and a lot of, and a lot of time and effort, and you got to have great staff. And we have our staff there behind us, in front of me now, is great. And even a grant, you got to apply for a grant, and it's at the end of the day, it's all about town of Stratford, right? So when you see something like this come through and hard work, it's great to see what the end result's, right?
Helps make our community better.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. So we've got a moved and seconded motion. Any other comments or questions? If not, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Anyone against? Motion carried. I think that brings us to the end of our business for today. Anybody else have anything they'd like to bring to the table at this time? If not, I want to thank everyone. Oh, sorry.
So I just wanted to say one thing, if I could, for anybody watching or that may watch later. This whole budget process is lengthy, and as we've mentioned before, a lot of consideration and time goes into it. And I would encourage residents to become active participants as we go forward in future years. The communications team does a great job of making information available as far as breaking down where your tax dollars go and all of that sort of stuff. Sometimes I think there can be a narrative or misunderstanding, in how tax dollars are spent. Of course, we encourage our federal and provincial partners, to continue to work with us. But I really, really call on residents to become informed and understand and communicate with us on how they would like to see their tax dollars spent going forward.
Thank you.
We probably forgot today, past this budget, our communications officer, Wendy Watts, is not here today, but Wendy was a big...
Jade Vera's here.
Jade's here,
yeah.
and great...
Did some great work on this.
Gets great work communicating, like as Councillor Chandler said, to the public and talking about the budget and so on, and communication's key.
And Mary, who puts up with every lengthy meeting we have too.
A lot of thank yous.
Engagement is always a challenge, and a lot of times I hear from people that, we expect council to work. It's like electricity. If everything works okay, you don't hear anything. So, but it would be good to have more engagement. That's for sure. It is something. It's always a challenge, I think, for every municipality to get input from residents. But we do have residents on committees, and we do have a lot of great residents who let us know how they feel. So that's great too.
Your Worship, just to echo those comments and those of Councillor Chandler, from the Finance and Technology Committee, we have raised the issue of enhance community engagement in ways that we can improve upon that. So it is a work in progress through Director O'Connell and Wendy Watts and Jade Vera to see how we can get to the point where when we have budget requests for budget input, it's a very substantial number of people that provide the input. And when we have a presentation with the opportunity for residents to comment, that we have this room filled and overflowing. That's what we'd like to see. The more people that provide the input, the better informed and guided that we are as a council. But I think fundamentally, we have, through this budget process, developed a pretty solid understanding of what the residents want. And we have received input, albeit not as to the degree that we ultimately want it to be. But as a committee, we continue to look at those opportunities, as well as what was brought up at the Committee of the Whole meeting recently. We'll be looking at the timing of the actual draft budget presentation, not only for enhancement of public input and a greater opportunity before ratification, but also when it comes to that ratification, have it at a date that better coincides with school breaks so that we can ensure that everyone has the opportunity and more residents have the opportunity to be present for that.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're really lucky to have the residents involved that we have involved, but it would be great to have more people giving us the benefit of their expertise and experience on things like the budget. But I think at the end of the day, this budget allows us to look forward to the future with optimism, and I guess the pressure's on now to deliver on some of the investments that we're gonna need to make, and really get some tangible assets put in place. Things like the wellness center, things like our waterfront park, and more active transportation trails. All those sorts of things are big items, and we really we'll work together to the best of our ability to make those things happen. So with that, sorry, go ahead.
No, we hear just comments there. We hear this back from residents. That's what you're just saying there. And moving forward and so on. We hear that from residents,
Yep.
at meetings or coffee shops or so on, or committee meetings, they want to move forward.
They want facilities in our town. It's an environmental thing. They won't have to drive long distances, take time out of their busy lives. Everything will be in our town, and we'll be able to really save the environment and really have everything here that we need.
Worship, just to follow up on both those points, we do take input from the public seriously, but we also learn as a community what our needs are over and above our wants. When we're hit with something like Fiona, for example, we look at potential development of a kind of a citizens response team to better coordinate with the needs of their neighbors and that sort of thing. Enhancing our warming station capabilities, which we're in the process of, and adding generators to lift stations. Those are all things that are going to be beneficial should we be struck with another Fiona-type storm. So, we do take advice from the public, and we also, of course, take advice from our experts on staff and what the needs are over and above the wants.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions before we close? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment. So moved. Thank you, Councillor. Okay, thanks, everybody.